In this episode, we're summarizing the 5th episode from Season 3 of the Wire series titled Straight and True. The episode first aired on October 17th, 2004. In the beginning, Bubbles and Johnny Weeks have a debate about whether it is right to make money by dealing with and giving information to the police. Johnny convinces Bubbles to join him in a quick money-making scheme instead of going to Detective Greg's. But once Johnny gets the money, Bubbles decides to leave. As we catch up with the hard-working politicians, we see Councilman Carcetti tells Councilman Gray about a newspaper story where a key witness was killed in an important case. Carcetti argues that this shows the system in Baltimore is failing, and he wants to be the man to fix it. However, Gray is not sure about Carcetti's plans and intentions. Carcetti talks to Mayor Royce and his chief of staff, Parker, about the issue. Royce assures Carcetti he will act fast, and Carcetti wants to stay informed. Later, Carcetti talks to Gray during a squash game and warns he will challenge Royce if he avoids them. In the following committee meeting, Carcetti asks Acting Commissioner Burrell and Deputy Commissioner Rawls about the murdered witness. Rawls mentions a task force and outside agencies like the FBI and DEA that are currently working together and helping to solve the case. Gray criticizes the response as slow and questions the lack of witness protection. Later on in the Western District, after a Comstat meeting, Major Colvin decides to change his approach. Instead of targeting low-level drug sellers, he wants to compel the higher-level dealers and crew leaders to follow new rules. He asks Carver for a list of mid-level dealers, but is disappointed when Carver can't provide it. Colvin turns to Major George Smith, who reveals they lack resources for high-end drug cases due to Rawls' focus on street work. Colvin is also disappointed with the Intelligence Division's data. Finally, he seeks help from the Major Crimes Unit, led by Lieutenant Daniels, Detectives Greggs, and Lester Freeman, who provide information he needs. McNulty, his former subordinate, is warmly welcomed by Colvin, who affectionately calls him Bushy Top. Armed with the new information, Colvin assembles his team and instructs them to use their cars to apprehend the drug lieutenants instead of wagons. Carver questions why this approach will work when targeting street dealers failed. Colvin understands their perspectives and begins to explain. Carver and Herc are assigned to capture Marlowe, who is surrounded by his crew and refuses to go. Herc is undeterred, but Carver realizes the danger of taking in Marlowe. Greggs watches the DEU detectives' actions from a nearby apartment and photographs Marlowe. At the same time, Officer Colicchio apprehends Bodie. Colvin gathers the lieutenants and explains his new plan. Bodie and others are cautious, thinking it might be a trick, but Colvin reassures them. Bodie asks what will happen if they do not follow the new rules, and Colvin warns of serious consequences. At the end of the meeting, Colvin notices a single resident in the area where he wants to create a tolerant zone. Herc, Carver, and Colicchio are in charge of the Amsterdam area where drug dealers will be allowed to operate freely. Some drug dealer groups arrive and complain about the lack of customers, but Colvin has a solution for that as well. Once Colvin explains, Herc disagrees with gathering addicts for the dealers, but Carver overrules him. Herc and Colicchio detain Johnny and give him to Officer Santangelo to take to Amsterdam. Johnny is confused when he gets there. Remember, I am summarizing this entire series as well as other popular works of literature, movies, and TV shows as well. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next episode or series. If you would like to see the playlists of our summaries, click on the link in the description. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Click like on the video if you found it valuable, because that helps YouTube recommend it to viewers like you. Consider supporting us on Patreon if you can, because doing this will help my channel out tremendously. I really thank you for your support. As we catch up with the Barksdale crew, Cuddy's grandmother wakes him up and questions why he is not working anymore. He tells her a lie, saying he got a job at a bar for night shifts. She also mentions that Grace called to remind him about an appointment with the deacon. Cuddy goes back to work, investigating a drug dealer suspected of stealing from them with Gerard and Sapper. They find the dealer with his girlfriend, who Cuddy thinks is involved with the stolen money. Cuddy then leaves for a meeting with the deacon. who questions his dedication and suggests a GED program. Cuddy is disappointed and leaves the church. When he returns to the car, Gerard and Sapper are using drugs, but Cuddy is concerned about a drug test the following day. But Sapper reassures him that he'll be okay. Afterwards, Sapper and Gerard take Cuddy to buy clean urine somewhere else. Cuddy uses it for a parole office urine test. On the street, they try to get information from the dealer's girlfriend, but she is uncooperative until Cuddy intervenes. He urges her to talk. They catch up with the dealer and severely beat him. Cuddy steps in, warning them not to harm him too much, or he won't be able to repay his debts. Gerard then uses a baseball bat to knock the dealer unconscious and searches him for any valuables. Stringer Bell leads a meeting of top drug dealers, including Proposition Joe, Kentel Williamson, and Fat Face Rick. After the meeting, he reminds Shamrock that despite their organization, they are involved in a criminal conspiracy, and that he should not be taking notes. Stringer then picks up Avon Barksdale, who was just released from parole, and gives him his new clothes. Bodie informs Stringer about his discussion with Major Colvin. Stringer initially scolds Bodie for not following the right communication channels, but understands Bodie's concerns. Bodie mentions being apprehended with other Barksdale lieutenants, including Tukey and Little Mikey. Stringer suspects Bodie might be wearing a wire until Bodie proves otherwise. Bodie also brings up issues with Marlowe. After an unsuccessful meeting with Marlowe, Stringer attends Avon's welcome home party. Avon is greeted by his associates, but Stringer is more focused on business discussions. He talks with Avon privately and introduces him to their lawyer, developer, and businessman. Avon gets annoyed by two guests who are high and asks them to leave. Stringer then shows Avon his new apartment and mentions they now have enough legitimate money to openly own things. Avon inquires about women, and Stringer returns with two women. Back at the major case unit, Greggs has a meeting with Bubbles, who provides information about Marlowe Stanfield's crew. He mentions Christopher Parlow as Marlowe's top bodyguard. While they talk, Cheryl calls Greggs, but she does not answer the phone. Bubbles gives Greggs a disposable cell phone, often called a burner, that previously belonged to Stanfield's dealer Fruit. McNulty keeps tracking Stringer Bell, watching him go from his college class to a meeting at his apartment building project. McNulty gets fed up and confronts Stringer at his coffee shop. Stringer boldly offers McNulty a condo in his development. McNulty expresses disappointment as he expected their cat-and-mouse game to be more intense. McNulty returns to the office where Freeman asks if he has any information on Stringer after about a week of investigating him. McNulty explains that Stringer is running legal businesses to launder money for drug distribution. He inquires about the Kentel Williamson case and learns they have a do not record order on some of the payphones. McNulty also spends time with his sons and discusses their mother's new boyfriend and an open house event for a new school. Greggs finally locates Marlowe using Bubbles' info and sets up surveillance. She spots Stringer meeting Marlowe at his place and requests more backup. McNulty joins her and inquires about the situation. Inside, Stringer talks about the co-op's potential for Marlowe, especially in laundering money. Marlowe remains silent but tells Parlow to get weapons ready. McNulty doubts the surveillance until he sees Stringer. Then he is impressed. McNulty goes to attend his kids' school open night. He of course arrives late and spots Elena. He ends up going toward the buffet, and here he finds Teresa D'Agostino, who is doing fundraising work for Carcetti. Teresa and McNulty flirt and end up together that night. Afterwards, she is dismissive of McNulty and stops him dead in his tracks, letting McNulty know she does not want anything serious with him. Later on, Omar Little and his team are getting ready for yet another robbery, but there is tension among them because Dante was the one who accidentally shot Tasha in the first place. Dante is upset about having a less important role going forward, and Kimmy is constantly being confrontational toward him. Omar tells them that they need to work together or quit the crew altogether. That was episode number 30, titled Straight and True. To watch the next or previous episode summary, click on the link in the description or at the end of this video. In the description, you will also find additional links for supporting our channel. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye. We upload new videos every week, so subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Click the notification bell to be notified of when we upload these videos. See you on the next episode of Culture Screen.